Oh, there's Graham.
It's got to be a big all thing, right?
He's been retired. Man, I got retired too.
That's all it takes, right?
Right, what's that gonna be?
All right, time is 7 o'clock. Everybody please stand. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Today is June 10th. This is the June 10th Heritage Lake POA Board of Directors meeting. Seems like it's been a while. We didn't have an operations meeting at the end of May, so it's like we've been on vacation, but we're back now and ready. It was nice.
They're gonna dock our pay.
So we're back at it and get everybody caught up on what's been happening since the last meeting. A couple of things are the same, some things are different. Before we get started, I've got a couple announcements. On June 29th, there's going to be a taco bar, walking taco or burrito boat at the marina, sponsored by Neighborhood Watch. So I think there's some flyers over on the table over there. I'm sure there'll be more announcements and things on the signs as you look around the community. Also, with respect to the burn pile issue, it's still closed, so Green Cycle, McCarty, Mulch and Recycling, as well as Putnam County Yard Waste Drop-Off, have sites where people can bring your mulch and or your yard waste and limbs and yard debris. So I know a lot of people are trying to struggle with that and figure out what they can do until we get something better figured out. So those are some options. The office has a couple of these flyers. I think there might be some on the table as well over there. So just a couple quick announcements on that. On to the agenda, Clear Creek Conservancy, Dwayne Kelly.
Dwayne Kelly, 282 Patriot Lane. I don't have much. We still haven't sealed the spillway because we got to get water not running over it. We haven't had very much luck with that this spring. But whenever it gets down a couple of 3 inches below pool level, so we have a day so we can have it dry, they'll get in and reseal it. They did seal it last fall, but they didn't get it sealed like they wanted to because it turned cold on them. And our next meeting is June the 20th at 10 a.m. at the Conservative Building.
Thank you, Dwayne. It'll be drought season before you know it, so you guys will be sealing away. June 20th, you said, your next meeting? Okay. Floyd Township Fire Department. Instead of Brian Herman, we're going to have Jeff Brooks.
The Ribeye Fest was another success. We got about $2,000 revenue that will be used towards equipment for the firefighters. Brian wanted me to remind everybody fireworks is coming up. Everybody be careful and keep your fingers attached. Supervise children when they're playing with fireworks as well. And also, we've had quite a few, they're called in as illegal burns. We have to send all our fire crews out. We send all the resources out to cover what's being called an illegal burn. Some are, some aren't. We all talk with IDEM. Several of us on the board talk with IDEM. I talk with IDEM again. Essentially, anything that you can just cut off a tree is illegal burn per item. Pallets, kiln-dried lumber, pretty much any dimensional lumber, they will consider illegal, and we have to do the same. So if we get a call, we got to come out. We're going to put your fire out, and if it continues, there will be citations issued.
That's enough.
Does it have to be in something?
It has to be in a container, a fire pit, trash can, preferably a metal one. If you use a plastic one, it's only good one time. The good ones don't work very long either. Metal containers, they don't have to have a lid, but they do have to be a container to contain the material in it. A brick stacked up in a circle or a square, that does suffice for item.
Thank you, Jeff. Neighborhood Watch. Anybody from Neighborhood Watch? No? Got to try to get April. Give us a report. HLCS.
Harold Patel, 189 Mill Street.
We're just continuing on doing the highlights, nothing new on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. Helnak.
Yeah, I got a report for them. The next event is the boat poker run, which will be Saturday, August 17th. See the flyer page in the June highlights for details and sign up for the form. The flyer will be available at the POA POA office and marina in the near future. We have 5 boat docks ready, already participating. We need 2 more. Other activities include the clubhouse grill for hamburgers and hot dogs after the run, band at the beach shelter in the evening, cornhole tournament for cash prize. Again, see the highlights and flyers coming soon for details on the schedule for that day.
One of the biggest party days of the year, huh?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Grant.
Yep.
POA security, Ryan Helmer?
No burglaries report this month, thank God. 4 alarms, 19 traffic stops, 2 citizens assists, a civil complaint, some harassment issues, a couple suspicious persons that turned out to be nothing, 5 disturbances, some VIN checks, child custody, 6 lockouts, some fraud cases. So if people are calling wanting you to buy a bunch of Google cars, don't give them those numbers, you won't get your money back. A mental issue and 2 thefts. On the boat patrol, we've had 6 people try to launch boats without checking in with the marina and getting their stickers. 3 non-residents trying to fish without cars or not living here, and 12 weight violations, and we've had quite a few safety checks, just checking boats for life vest. Also, there was a report of a runaway boat the other day. I was actually on the water, and it was just someone visiting another boat. They hopped back on and left, so there was nothing. So, that's all I have.
Thank you. Garden Club, Linda Lawler.
Celebrate. We finally got enough break in the rain that we've been able to till half of the area at Lincoln Hills. So 50 by 100 dimension pollinator garden is planted, and it's rained since then, so it will be coming up shortly. We have a tour this Thursday for both morning and the evening group of 5 residences that have invited us to come look at their yards and see how they are landscaping and working that out. And we've gotten the wonderful news that with the weather break, they're going to be able to frame up a pad, a cement pad, so that we can get the swing and glider out and get those secured in the next couple of weeks. So we ladies are very excited.
That's your favorite time of year, isn't it?
Ah, if only it quit raining long enough.
It will soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Presentation of agenda. May 13th board meeting. Any additions, corrections, or edits? If not, I will take a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. May 13th executive meeting. Any additions, changes, corrections? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thanks, guys. Treasurer's report, Jim Johnson.
Thank you. Yeah, for this, income for the month of May was $233,322. That is expected because we're still receiving assessments and boat fees. Our expenses were $140,079 with an income balance of $93,243. You will notice over the next several months that our expenses are going to rise, and they'll begin to rise at a faster rate as our summer help comes on board. And then our income is going to stop because assessment's going to be paid, boat fees are all going to be remitted, and then we'll just coast down at the end of the year, which we do every year. And our position looks very, very good right now. Our short-term cash is $743,528. That's essentially money market and checking account balances. The total amount of our investments, which are CDs and money market, are $689,062. But don't allow the $743,528 of short-term cash make you feel everything is good. We're going to swallow that money in the next 6 months, taking care of all the expenses that the community has. So that's it. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Jim. Board committee reports, A&E. Beth.
Bid folks, 77 Gettysburg. May we had 17 permits, 18 projects. 3 houses, they were 1,261 square feet, 1,865 square feet, and 2,056 square feet. 1 garage, 3 porches, 2 decks, 2 docks, 1 lift, and 6 fences. Thank you.
Busy guys, thank you, Ben. Campground. George Perso? Or Carrico? No, George? Okay. Campground, I imagine, is up and running and the parties are about to begin, so hopefully we'll get a report on those guys.
begun.
Cleanup committee. Kurt Stewart.
Kurt Stoyer, 17 Mill Springs. No meeting this month. I'm doing a lot. Just a reminder, August 10th is going to be we're bringing a shredding truck in here in the parking lot from 9 to 11. And people keep asking, garage sales are September 12th and 14th. Clean sweep is the next weekend, September 21st.
Thank you, Kurt.
I have a question, Kurt. Is the June meeting on cleanup canceled?
Yes, and July.
Thank you.
So are you gonna take the shredding from the shredding truck and use it the next day for the boat poker run champion? Surprise, or?
It will not come out of their truck.
Well, come on, once it's in, it's in, huh? All right, no, no, no. Government, I believe government committee is still open. Tom, do you have?
Yes, I have a report that I could give. The government committee did meet. There were 3 people in attendance, including myself. One new gentleman came in to discuss basically his participation in the government committee. So the government committee has decided to try to improve attendance by changing the date and the time for their next meeting. So get your calendars out and record June 27th at 10 a.m. will be the next government meeting. So everybody here and everybody listening on YouTube, please mark that on your calendar. June 27th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Tom. Lake committee? I know Kent's not here.
I'll report for the Lake Committee. Kent's out of town. Robin Alexander, 618 Gettysburg Court. There's been a lot going on with the Lake Committee. There were some other members that are looking into some of the programs that we're working with right now. One in particular is the lights on the buoys. We've got a couple of buoys out on the north end here that have lights on them now. I don't know if anybody's been out at night and seen them, or if you've even seen the proposed lights yet that we're looking at.
Do they flash?
No, they're not flashing. They're not a strobe type light. They're a fixed light. One is I guess just a standard illumination, and the other is an LED illumination. Neither one that I've seen that have been out there appear to be intrusive to being able to navigate the lake or a distraction or anything such as that. But let's see, who is it? Jim Muhlenbein and another party were setting those out. I don't know, have you seen them, Ken?
I have not. I think Debbie went out with him. and set that.
Okay.
They had I was gonna ask you, they had the less expensive ones that they put on, then there was 2 expensive ones that put on. I didn't know which one, if you noticed a difference or not.
I know the one that's illuminated LED is a much sturdier product. It must be one that will withstand the weather and perhaps maybe a little bit of damage. But as far as being 3, I was only aware of 2. I've only seen 2. One appeared to be relatively inexpensive, and the other, I would assume the LED type light would be the more expensive of the 2. But I don't know what anyone has come about with a conclusion as to what they are wanting to propose.
So are you waiting to hear? You're waiting to get
I
some
guess,
feedback
yeah.
before you
I
guys
thought Jim was
decide?
going to be here tonight. He had some information to share, but I don't have any information.
But I think Jim
on
was
it. I just
ill,
know
so
Okay.
he'll probably be back at the next meeting, so.
Okay. We have the kids tournament scheduled for this Saturday. Hopefully, we'll get some more children signed up to their parents for the kids tournament. Anything else that's going on out there in regards to fishing? Everything seems to be going well. We haven't had any issues or concerns that I'm aware of. Fishing has been good. I think we've done a pretty decent job with the stocking of the lake, although that is still an open topic from last year since we haven't quite made a decision on what to do since we dropped the lake this past fall. We're wanting to put some fish in, and ideally we feel like the hybrid striped bass is the one fish that has been probably since I believe the date was 1996 since we put in those fish in the lake. And there's definitely been a shortage of them being reported as being caught. So that's one fish for sure, and then perhaps maybe the walleye or something like that. But we're still trying to gather more information as far as what everyone is catching. There's no official creel reports, so we don't have anything to go by with the exception of what someone might report at the marina or report to somebody in the lake committee.
Or Roger reporting on Facebook, all your catches this year, Roger.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Roger's been doing quite well there at the marina fishing. Then we also have, I believe, brought to some type of conclusion here. We had discussed last year about doing a field survey of the lake, a creel check of the lake and the condition of the fishery and so forth. And we've gotten together, I believe, with Aqua Control. Nate Long, I believe, is the president of that operation. He's been considered the preeminent authority on fish and lake conservation and so forth, lake management here in central Indiana on the independent side of things. Of course, you know that Indiana DNR doesn't really have any input for us as far as what we're doing as far as taking care of our lake. And we were hoping to have someone such as them get involved with us in making this happen so we can get a better input as to what the overall health of the lake is as far as the fishery. And these fellows seem to have a very comprehensive product available to us. They have submitted a contract to us for your approval. And you, I believe, allocated some monies towards this through the...
It is.
I forget what you call it now.
There's some money in the budget.
In the budget, okay, sure. It's a little short, and we as the lake committee intend to make up the difference on that amount. It's appears to be, from everything else that we've had a chance to look at, a very comprehensive electrofishing and chemical testing of the lake, and they're going to take care of everything with the exception of percent of light transmission and E. coli. The E. coli portion of this, I understand you have someone that may work together with us on the testing of the E. coli. And then Phil McKinley has someone as well who is going to be able to look into that for us. So we're pretty satisfied with everything. We've batted this thing around now for about 9 months and trying to get everybody together on making a decision and who to use has been quite complicated. So I hope you guys find this aquatic control proposal acceptable, and if you have any questions, let us know. They're anxious to do something, and we're anxious to have them do something. We missed the spring window for testing the lake. But
Do you have an electronic version of this that you could send to us?
They sent me an electronic version, and that's why I had them send me the hard, because it doesn't come across. Well, you won't get all the information you need, but I can try to send it to you, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, if I could just enter a few thoughts. That particular contract, when are you expecting them to start?
Well, they want to do it this fall, so it will probably be in the...
When do you need it signed? In other words,
pardon me?
when do you need it signed?
Well, they need it signed, and we need to get something to them as soon as we can, so they can get in the schedule.
Okay, by the end of the month.
It would be nice if we could make something like that happen.
That particular contract addresses the water quality and fish testing of the lake. That is independent of fish stocking. It's a testing, and it matches very well with the study that was done by Commonwealth Biometrics in 2006. The same kind of characteristics of the lake will be tested so we can compare what happened in 2006 to what we currently have this year in 2019 after our lake lowering, etc. The fish study is going to be more intensive than what was conducted in the Commonwealth biomonitoring system in 2006. So that's, I think, probably one of the reasons that the Lake Committee decided to go with this particular organization. And this particular organization, as the name indicates, they already are doing our
Spring.
treatment of the water. So they have a good understanding of this particular lake and its characteristics. So I guess my hope would be that the monies have been allocated for the water quality testing. That was done in our 2019 budget.
And that was gonna be my question, how much money did we have in the budget for that?
It was in the order of $3,800.
And you said the Lake Committee was gonna make up the difference between what was in the budget and what this proposal is?
Yes.
Okay, $200 looks like then, okay.
Whatever was in the budget, we weren't sure of the exact amount.
So if possible, if we could just, contractually, legally, just run it by our attorney, make sure that he's okay, they're okay, the organization, the legal advice is, and the wording is such that they're in agreement with it. And if we could possibly get that done and get it signed and back to the Lake Committee for it would be nice to have it for their June meeting.
So can we make sure that the minutes will reflect that Ken has taken that task? Make sure that the lawyer approves it and we can get back and get it signed. Get it on the books. Okay.
Just the Lake Committee meeting, I just want to get it here if I could find it really quickly. June 26th. So if we could have it back at the June 26th. One other observation, I happen to attend, I'm a member of the Lake Committee also. And in attendance, one question that always arises, and maybe either we could have a report available or an individual available, is on lake security. So if it's possible to have a report, I'd be more than happy to read it at the Lake Committee meeting, or if the gentleman who is in charge of lake security would be available to attend, I think that would be very informative.
So you want a lake security meeting for the Lake Committee meeting and
Yes.
this meeting?
One for the Lake Committee meeting, if possible, just a report. If nothing else, you could just give me a copy of what is reported tonight, so I could read it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you done now, Robin?
I hope so, if
That
there's
is
any
a-
questions.
That is a heck of a report, thank you. Thank you, Tom. All right. Long-range planning. Oh, Clean Water is a subcommittee of the Lake Committee. Phil McGinley, I don't believe, is here, so, okay. You guys had enough time anyway. Thank you. Long-range planning. Deborah?
I thought we were gonna get the mallet.
Not yet.
I've not contacted anyone. I've got some family things that's taking up most of my time. For those that don't know, my father is in hospice at home. And so I'm going to defer long range until that is over. Probably September-ish.
Deborah, on behalf of the board and on behalf of this community, I know your family are pillars in this community. Everybody knows Lois up at the marina and Woody, and you, of course, your presence in this community. So our prayers are all with you, and this community comes together whenever anybody seems to be in trouble or need anything. So I know that that's gonna be available to you whenever you guys need it, so. I'll put it
Thank
to
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Siltation. Wayne?
Wayne Kelly, 282 Patriots Landing. I don't think anything's changed since the last meeting. I haven't talked to Shannon in about 3 weeks. Last time I talked to him, he had a bunch of work to do for individuals on the lake, and he understands that he works ours in when he's not busy otherwise. I know he's planning on doing the East Fork, but he's gonna have to wait till it quits raining because he has to pump it out, and there's no reason to sit up there and pump out one end and run in the other one. And our next meeting is June the 27th at 7 p.m. here at the clubhouse.
Thank you, Dwayne. HLEPT? Go ahead, Tom. I know we probably want to do a big congratulations for the blood drive, if you have any details on that.
For the blood drive that was held on June 4th, we got a report back from the American Red Cross. Their report indicated that the total number of donors were 42. We had 42 donors, first-time donors, 8 first-time donors, which is great. Of the 42 donors, we collected 44 units of blood. Okay, and you say, well, how did 42 come to 44? Well, there's a technique that they call double red, which is a very important technique for them. And for every double red contributions, we get credit for 2 units instead of 1. Those 44 units, potentially the number of lives that those units will save are 132 lives.
It's awesome.
So I'd just like to say a big thank you to anybody in the audience and anybody listening who donated. It has certainly goes to a good condition, good organization, and as it states, potentially 132 lives will be saved.
It's fantastic. You guys do that a couple times a year. When's the next one, do you know? January?
January
Yeah.
is scheduled.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Election Committee, Jim Eulenbein is ill, not able to attend, but he let me know that at this time we have 590 returned ballots for the covenants, which is teetering right around 20%, which seems very light, but we have an item on the agenda here. I'll talk about things that we're going to do to try to increase those returns here pretty soon. So that's where we are right now. Miscellaneous reports, manager report, Ken.
Okay, the construction out on the shelter point is, we've got it nearly completed. We're anticipating pouring the concrete for the floor this week and should be opened up for use in the next couple of weeks. The pool was opened up on May 24th as scheduled. It's off to a busy start but not without any needed repairs. The pool heater was not operating correctly and needed to be replaced. I'd like to thank the board for their quick response on allowing me to get it replaced with a more efficient heater at a cost of $3,047. That's labor included. I have also ordered a new poolside basketball goal that should arrive in the next 7 to 10 days. Ken Hoops and I, we've adjusted the buoys in their proper positions. Thanks goes out to Ken Hoops for helping me with this project while he's driving the boat and directing me to do all the grunt work. Upcoming lake treatments, dates for the remainder of June and for July. June 19th is a full treatment for weed and algae. July 2nd and July 17th, the 17th day is a 2-day irrigation restriction, and on July 24th. Spent some time today with Nate with Aquatic Control, expressing my displeasure with some of the algae we've seen so early in the coves. They are going to come out this Wednesday and do an additional treatment to those needed areas. The campground had a visit from the Board of Health, had a few minor camper violations, a cracked manhole cover we need to repair, and along with some mulch that needs to be added to the playground. They don't anticipate a return visit, thank God. After completing the shelter construction, we will be focusing on placing a border to contain and add new mulch to all the areas, the marina, campground, clubhouse, and Lincoln Park playgrounds. We are required to have 8 to 10 inches of mulch. All locations are in desperate need of adding some padding to that. The Lincoln Park Beach, we added a truckload of new sand last week. Finally, notices have been sent out to all homeowners for unpaid assessments. If not paid by August 1st, the balance will be turned over to collections and possibly liens applied to the homeowner's home. Please pay your assessments. They are extremely reasonable for this area, and it only helps the community. And lastly, I'd like Father's Day is this Sunday. I'd like to wish all the dads a great Father's Day and enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Old business, gate access installation update. Jeff Brooks, where are we at?
There was a hiccup on emails. I think an email went to spam. We got that cleared up. They're planning on being out end of the month, 3 to 4 weeks is what they're looking at to be out to start the process. They do have their payment and they do have the signed contract in place, and they'll be getting out here to get it done.
Any ETA on that?
3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks, so it takes us to, not every week.
I'm sure it's not a big project for them. But
Yeah, like a day probably.
Yeah, it'll be there too.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Has electricity been dropped?
They don't want us to do that until they get the gate up.
Oh.
Any other questions? All right. Covenant vote. So, as I stated earlier, Jim Eulenbein reported that we got about 20% of ballots returned. I want to remind everybody to correctly fill out your ballot before you return it. We've had some people circle and check both yes and no. Some people haven't signed it, some people didn't put their lot number, a couple different reasons why they were invalid. So if you're gonna go through the trouble to return your ballot, we ask that you do it correctly so you don't have to do it twice. Even though the second time, you should be nice and practiced at it. But it does cost a little bit of time for Jim to go through and scrub those up and make sure that they're returned correctly. So, the board in front of you, we've had a discussion with our lawyer regarding things that we could legally do to help encourage people to return your ballots, to get these votes returned one way or the other. So we are looking at incentivizing some of the voting process. So that's not to give people rewards for voting yes or voting no, but it's to be able to provide raffle items to every member that votes their ballot to be entered into a drawing with various prizes being offered, one raffle per voting cycle. So we typically go out 3 times with the ballots. So the first cycle we started in, I think, April or March. That's gonna go, we haven't determined when that cycle is gonna end, but everybody that's returned their ballots in that first period would be entered into a raffle, and I'll go over what the proposed prizes are. And then when the next ballot goes out, that first cycle's done, the next ballot goes out, then that group of people who return their ballots in the second cycle, they'll all be entered into a drawing, be able to get their name drawn for potential prizes, and then same thing with the third. So those are things that we've now been given legal approval to pursue. The board in front of you guys, I sent it to you earlier today, but I've got a list. I'll go over what the rules are. First of all owners who submit a valid ballot have the opportunity to win the given prizes. The prizes are in no way used to sway the owner's vote one way or another. We're not going to look at yes and no. It's just the name of the owner who submitted their ballot. And owners are made aware that they are entered into a prize drawing just for voting in general. Okay, so everybody who casts their ballot will get entered. It's not every lot that you own, it's just the owner's name. So if you own 10 lots, you have just as good a chance to win as somebody who owns 1 lot and returns their ballot. So it's not the number of lots, it's just every member has an equal chance as long as you submit your ballot.
Just valid votes.
Valid votes, yes. So, now I want to talk about And I'll write all this up, and we'll get the information out to the community. For the next round of ballots that go out, there will be an insert included. For those who have already voted, they're already eligible. For those who haven't, everybody's still eligible when you return your ballot. As far as the prizes, what I'm proposing is to not exceed total raffle value of $2,000. So my proposal is for maybe an assessment fee of a 1 year or equivalent, so that's about $249. We raffle one of those per voting cycle, so that's 3 total. Seasonal family pool pass, I think that's a $100 value, Deborah? Ken? Yeah. So $100 value, redeemable next year, or from 1 year, winner, 1 year from the date that they get it. Winner's choice, and that's 1 per cycle. Boat fee for a season, so that's $250, so 1 of those per cycle. Marina cash for Heritage Lake gear, about $50. So all those added together comes out to about $1,947, which is under $2,000. So that's just my idea. I'm open up to discussion and suggestions and things that you guys think might be better, worse. You like it, you hate it? Because I would like to get to the point where we vote on it tonight to pursue the raffle
Well, what I would,
opportunity.
I understand that it's legal, but I think it's everybody's right out here to vote. I don't feel it's ethical to, and I know we're not trying to sway votes. Again, I understand it's legal, and if it gets people, I understand the outcome is to get more people to vote, and I'm all with that. I'm all for that. I just don't feel right saying, hey, we're going to give you a prize if you vote, regardless of what your vote is. I just don't feel that that's a.
I think we've worked really hard to appeal to people's community duty, and I think we failed miserably. I think we've worked really hard to communicate the heck out of this to everybody to gain interest, and we may have not failed miserably, but we still failed. This has been going on for several years. We've not found a way to kind of crack the code to motivate people to just return the ballot. I'm out of ideas, which is why I think we're proposing this. Anything that's going to give somebody an additional reason that they don't currently have, just out of the obligation that they're helping shape the direction of this community. I think that's what the whole motivation is. And again, it's not persuading somebody to vote yes or no. It's persuading them to read the material, ask questions. We've kept this board meeting and operations meeting and social media and being out amongst the community. We've made ourselves available to answer all the questions we can. We've encouraged people to come and talk to us. It's been marginally successful, but we're still not getting the returns. We have to do something to try to encourage people to just, and if this is what it takes, I mean, it's what it takes, in my opinion. Tom?
I guess I would, my position is, why does the board need to offer incentives for people to vote? It is a lot owners, as Jeff indicated, it's a lot owners' right and responsibility to control voting here at Heritage Lake. I think by adding incentives to voting, it's treating voting like it's something extra. And that's not exactly a good, what I would call a solid citizen lesson to display. Why do we need to give people incentives to vote? It's their responsibility.
But Tom, they're not exercising that responsibility, and they have it for years.
I guess it's the same thing, the United States maybe should offer incentives for people to vote in presidential elections. The last presidential election, only 58% of eligible voters came out, and that's about the same that happened in 2016. By the way.
That's why we need to change the covenants, Tom.
By the way, there is a clear federal ban on offering such incentives.
Is this
So
a federal
that's-
election? I'm confused.
Yes, this is
This
a
is a
federal.
federal election?
I'm making a remark, Jim.
Well, but I'm just saying, you're saying there's a federal law against it, and you said it were unethical for doing
No,
it.
I didn't say
So I'm just
that.
trying to figure this
I
out.
didn't
Okay,
say.
guys.
Easy,
One
boy,
at a
Jim,
time.
easy.
My
Hang on,
comment,
hang on.
my
It's on the
comment,
recorder.
Hang on.
I felt it was unethical. That's my opinion. You don't like it, I'm sorry. My opinion
Okay.
is, I feel it's unethical.
And when I had the floor, basically I made the remark about the United States offering for their federal elections. And I clarified that for the United States
Okay.
and their presidential election, that it isn't, it's clearly defined that it can't be incentive.
It is not uncommon for HOAs and POAs to offer voting incentives to their membership.
I guess, if I can continue, with an incentive program, when this ends, do we go on? Why not why not offer incentives for people to pay their annual assessments? Give them a $20 discount. Why not offer incentives for people to register votes? Where would we stop? I don't think we need to establish that type of precedence.
Do you have any other ideas on how to increase the ballot return?
Do I have any other ideas? I guess my answer is no. I don't have any other ideas how to get people to vote. I think, from my perspective, I feel that voting and showing my opinion for this community is enough incentive. I feel an obligation that if I think something needs to be changed, or I don't think something's right, or I want to elect an officer, or I say an officer isn't qualified, I'm going to put out my vote, because it is my right. So maybe,
You're amongst the less than 50%.
I'm sorry I'm a dinosaur, but,
None.
that is how I feel in terms of the responsibility of allowing a person to vote.
I respect your opinion, thank you, Tom. Anybody else on the board want to discuss this? Paul?
I would just like to interject that history has shown us here at the lake, people don't vote. And in order for us to get to a point, and we've heard over and over again, people in the community say, bring it to the community. Let the community decide what we're going to do. Let the community decide if we're going to have a boat storage. Let the community decide if we're going to build a marina. Let the community decide to do this. Well, the community doesn't want to decide anything. And they vote on the people to be on the board to make decisions for this community. We are trying to change the covenants so that we can come to the community, come to the people that want to vote. We want to change the covenants so that those who want to participate in this community will be counted and deciding what we should do. I don't see anybody else in the community coming up with a better solution to try and incentivize, or is that a word?
Incentivize.
Incentivize those in our community to please send in your ballot once and for all, and then you can go back to sleep. You don't have to partake anymore if we get the covenants changed, because we will go on a majority of the people that want to partake in the community. So I think, I have not heard a better idea. That's my opinion.
Do we want people voting because they're going to get a prize? They may not care one bit about anything in this community. By God, I can say $250 just so we get our 2/3 votes to change the covenants.
Or not change the covenants.
Or not change the covenants. Or not true.
But like I said,
Absolutely right.
I want to.
Go ahead, AJ.
I would like to say that I just want the vote, and I've said this in multiple meetings, I just want it to go one way or the other. I want either enough yeses to pass it, or I want enough no's to say the community says they don't want to do it. So if it takes incentivizing people to say no or yes, why not try it? Why spend all the money on all these mailers and all these flyers and all the being on doors and all the things that we're doing if we're not trying everything? And also, to other people's points, yes, you're right, 58% of the people voted in the national election, but they still elected somebody. There was still a result. You don't get a result in a POA election, or in a POA, what is it called, I'm sorry, a ballot, a covenant ballot. Sorry, I gotta get my right language. if we don't get enough votes, we get nothing. We don't get a yes or a no, or we get basically a soft maybe. And so that's, if people don't want to do it, that's fine, but it's kind of like my boss always says, well, if you don't have a better idea, don't naysay something. Maybe we can tailor this, so maybe it's not as a high dollar figure, maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's a free t-shirt, I don't know. I mean, throw something else out there that's constructive towards the goal we're trying to get, which is the yes or the no answer from the community. Because that's really what we're here for, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's what I'm here for. I'm here, what the community says, yes or no. If they come out and said, we don't want the marina, we want you to keep duct taping that place back together. And that's what everybody came out and said, that's what we're gonna do, because we're gonna follow what the people say to do.
Yep. We're handcuffed the way it is now. And it's sad that maybe we have to resort, I'm not gonna say resort to something like this, but what else are we gonna do, guys? I mean, we're just gonna sit here and spin our wheels again, and then we don't get the number of votes by September of next year, and then this board dissolves, and the next board comes on, and they're like, you know what, I got the silver bullet, this is how we're gonna do it, and we're gonna try it again, and we're gonna keep going back and forth and back and forth. As Paul stated, as AJ stated, let's find out, let's let the majority in the future decide what's happening. We can't do it now.
Grant, were you gonna say something?
No, he pretty much said it all. It was,
Okay.
yeah, we need an answer one way or another, and whatever the best way to get it is, we should do it.
William, you have anything?
I'm kind of in the middle. I can see both sides. Having a prize, that's like, buying Cracker Jacks. You're going to get a prize in every box. I don't think we tried everything. I think that's just like people come in here and say, everybody in the community don't want this, don't want that. I think we can go from the community, go to Jefferson Valley on one night or one day and knock on doors. And then next day or night or week, go to Mill Springs.
And this is not a substitute for that. Let me be very clear. We are still going to be out and visible and working and communicating with the community at every turn.
The issue was, have we done enough? You wanted ideas. This is my idea. How else are we going to know what the community wants if we're sitting here, or sitting at home watching ESPN or the Food Channel? I think we're representatives of the community. If we don't have that extra oomph, that extra energy, that extra 10% to go, then we fail.
It's an incredible amount of work. It's, I think, a lot more work than a lot of us gave it credit for that haven't been exposed to it before.
Well, we got, how long we got? About another year?
Year and 2 months, year and 3 months.
I mean, it don't take long to walk through each, I call it subdivisions, knock at everybody's door.
It's going to be a sustained effort from now until next September for sure. But if this is something that can tip it in our favor finally, to actually have a legitimate shot at getting this done, if this is all it takes, 20% of the community to actually return it, then that's 20% of those that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
We can hand out t-shirts that I voted.
Any of you have
Everybody
anything?
gets something.
Any of you want to say anything about this topic before we
Yes,
leave
I
the
would.
vote? No, well,
You had said it on Curtis Calvert, 309 Gettysburg. You guys are really barking up the wrong tree. In the first place, our covenants do not require anyone to vote on covenant changes that somebody else proposes. The truth is, you didn't involve the people in creating these covenants.
Curtis, I'm talking about the incentive specifically for this
Well-
conversation, please. We can have an open forum.
Well, you've been talking about the fact that
you can't get enough votes. Well, the truth is, these are lousy covenants, and most of the people are not going to vote for them. If you had presented
Curtis,
one
we're
thing.
talking about the incentive issue.
Yes, I know, and I would
That's
agree
all that
morally
this
it's
is on
probably
the table,
questionable.
Curtis, that's all on the table now is the incentives. If you wanna talk about the other stuff, that's later.
Then why did they talk about the other stuff if I can't answer their questions?
Curtis, we're talking about incentives, please. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Harold paid till 189 Mill Springs. I would suggest making it a cash thing, because I don't know, people, you get a swim pass, I'm not going to swim. I bought one last year, I went in there once. But I think if a cash deal, say $500 and then a couple $100 and $100, they can spend it as they want. And I think it's a big
That's a thought.
thing.
Fair point.
That's a thought.
Thank you, Harold. Any other ideas?
Andy Hines, 63 Jefferson Valley, 4-year resident, so I'm still kind of getting up to speed. The one time, and the other thing, just admittedly, we're weekenders, we don't live here. The one time that you would, I have voted, but the one time you might have my attention if I was a little more checked out is when I want to get on the lake. So I just don't know, is there any way to incentivize people when they come in the spring? And I know that ship has sailed, but I would think you would have people's attention the most when they're walking in and they have to just a thought, and I don't know what that is exactly.
We've Jim and I actually have spent time at the marina on Saturday mornings.
So
A couple
you-
people here can attest to that, but just to be
Gotcha.
there and be able to answer questions
Answer questions,
and talk about.
and actually essentially kind of say, this is a great time for you to be able
Yeah.
to just say yes or no.
Yep.
It's not a silver bullet.
We've had really good conversations on those
We have,
opportunities,
we
but not a
have.
whole lot of people were willing to fill out the ballot right
Really?
at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had some.
Appreciate that.
Got
But we
some,
didn't
yeah.
pick their ballots up. They took them into the marina and they put them in themselves.
I see,
Yeah.
okay. Appreciate you.
Thank you for the ideas, yeah. Anybody else? Okay, if the board doesn't have any more discussion, I'll take a motion if someone's willing to make a motion.
I'd like to motion that we accept Chris's covenant ballot voting incentives. We approve the $2,000 approximate in cash, and then we work on the details later as to whether or not we do what Harold said or these other details.
A second.
All in favor? Opposed? 5-3 carried. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the discussion.
Maybe too late, but to Harold's point, would it be okay to give him the option?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something that we should
we can do
consider for
that.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, if.
Cash equivalent
Yeah,
of the
like-
value of that.
Like the vote fee, you know, if they didn't have a vote, can they take the cash?
Yes.
Lake cash.
Yeah.
Marina money, something
Marina
like
money,
that, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, guys. And we'll work out these details. There will be communications coming out, how we manage the next round of ballots, how we put the information into those ballots, social media, email, all the usual things. So I encourage everybody, if you haven't voted yet, if you're not sure what the issues are, come and talk to the board, ask the questions. Any one of us, we're happy to have a discussion with you. We just want you to be involved. This is really important. We put so much effort into it, and it really, the fate of the community in the future should be with the people, the members of this community, and it shouldn't be with the people that don't vote, and currently that's what it is. So that's what it's all about. Okay. Next item, new marina update.
That's us, right?
That's you guys.
First of all, we've been working on the Marina Update project for many months. By the way, we're going to need you for many months. It predates the last election that we had for the board. I don't know if you recall, but we solicited input from our community. We passed out questionnaires from people with suggestions that they might have on things that we might do with Marina. And it included everything from tear down the marina, to repair the marina, to make the marina into some Taj Mahal, to make it very, very small, to have a restaurant, to have all kinds of stuff. But we had a lot of input. After that, we gathered together a committee, of the subcommittee, that would look at the community input and try to create a plan that would take us forward to where we would be positioned, to where we would be able to communicate with the community on an idea of what it might look like. And then, of course, how much something like this might cost. And I want to say, we have right now, Q, you want to stand? Harold, you too. You also are members of the committee, so people want to know, we appreciate the work that you do. In addition to that, community members, Huddleston was on it, Lois was on it, and I'm missing one person. No, that's it, that's everybody. But the final step is to be positioned to propose a plan. We're almost there.
Ken Roselle is on that committee.
Oh, Kim Roselle, excuse me.
That's it.
And so was Paul Ford.
Oh, no, we were, I intentionally eliminated board members. The final step is to propose a plan. And tonight, we're going to give you a peek under the tent of what we're seeing in terms of the way it's going to look. And I think it's really exciting. So why don't you take a look? This, folks, is what, why don't you go ahead and kind of talk
It
about
was
it.
89, 63 Jefferson Valley. We've been working alongside Brent Construction to kind of give what we call a schematic design, kind of going through the first third of what would a program look like. You start with function, you also start with site. One of the things we found on the site is we looked at several different options, but because of the being able to take advantage of the dollars that are already there with the existing boat dock and that type of thing, we're proposing that this go right back in the same location, but the frankly, the existing construction of the existing building, just in terms of even its ability from an insulation standpoint and that type of thing, there's not a lot of great things to hold on to. So this would be a new structure. That's a great kind of view heading north. So what we'd be proposing as you can look to kind of the main body of the water is two-story decking area. There'd be decking here. There could also be decking around the side. Let's say you had a barbecue or something like that that you wanted to do outside, or you wanted a series of grills, and then most people would be outside. You could handle that along that side. But in essence, this particular face is very similar to where the south end of the existing building is. The other thing is it's important that we keep it up for obviously any type of flooding, that type of thing. So we're talking about at the same level or a little bit higher than where we've been, because we've not had issues in the past with that. And then we'll have Greg McDaniel is here with me, and he's a lot smarter than I am in terms of being able to fly the ship here. This would be, if you're coming in from the north, this would be the main entry to the retail area, and you're able to sneak in there.
I'm gonna jump up there and get on that keyboard.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Construction would be, on the exterior would probably be hardy plank, that type of thing. Asphalt shingles, so that it would be fairly easy to take care of that type of thing. If there's one thing we want to do in terms of what we talked about is let's keep the construction residential in ways that it doesn't get too expensive. But we did like the idea of a lot of windows so that you can kind of see the lake from all areas, and also a lot of natural light with the trusses. So this would be, as you would walk in, you'd have a large enough counter that 2 or 3 people, let's say that you had a retail transaction going on while somebody wanted to check in and register their boats, that type of thing. This would be large enough for that. And great to swing this around. There's we'd actually have a bait area that would be separated a little bit as you first come in. There'd be some glass there that you could see that. And then this first area would be mostly retail, if you will. And then we can go ahead and head on down toward the south. Toward the south, and there's a lot of development still to occur in terms of how this might work, and there's a lot of levels that it could work. But it could be opened up for people to dine. And so you can see if it was more of a grab-and-go situation, somebody could come up to a counter and they could get prepackaged foods, that type of thing. If it was somebody that wanted to sit and have a drink and take a look at toward the south or back toward the east, you can see what that would look like there. So the views, these might be, we're finding it's a pretty low-cost situation where you can put garage doors in, and you open those garage doors, especially on a night like tonight. Let the natural, the kind of the breezes and things come through, but it's a relatively low-dollar way to kind of open things up. So we're kind of excited about what that could do for us there. And then we kind of noted that as you would go outside, then you could either be above or you could kind of be beside in terms of, you wanted to eat or just gather together and have, just have a drink or a snack or that type of thing. Then we would have support. We've talked to some people that focus on food service and how to do that at a level where you're not going crazy with, so it's what they would call almost a limited menu and that type of thing. And also keep the food service equipment side of it down. That would all be housed over here, kind of in support, if you will. And then this would give you access, like I said, if somebody wanted to have, a barbecue or something like that on that side, they could do that. And then again, just a lot of natural light, that type of thing. So, any questions? Big picture on that, because we're still at the big picture. I said we're probably about a third of the way through in terms of where we would go. Right now, we're in the mode in terms of coming up with a plan. At some point, we transition where we bring engineers in. They look at the site. They look at the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. We send it to the state of Indiana for approvals, that type of thing. So that's where we head toward the next couple of phases as we get more serious with the details.
Approximately how much square footage are we talking about?
Craig, do you have me on that by chance? You recall off the top of your head?
I was send that.
I think we're around 2,000 square feet.
Approximately how many people can 2,000 feet handle?
I thought it said 39 something.
I thought it was bigger than this.
Well, while they're looking that up, I want to show you a couple of features that are really exciting. I mean, this is going to be looking out, the beach will be over here, and we'll be looking out into that big area where the boats are hanging out in the sun, just looking out. It's going to be beautiful. And they'd be able to walk up on the exterior of the building. You see the stairwell access is here, and they've got it sized in such a way that would fit a space like that and the maximum number of people that could be in that kind of a situation. And also, as far as this structure here is concerned, the comparatively small kitchen, over next to that, there are going to be indoor bathrooms. Yay! I don't know what goes on in the females' restroom. What goes on in the male's restroom outdoors is not free.
We just checked our numbers. On the interior, about 50 people could be seated for dining. Probably another 50 on the top there, and then a similar number then around that. So you're kind of in multiples of 50 inside and up and then around just under 3,000 square feet in terms of the. So kind of if you think about it in terms of a house, it's kind of on the larger side of a residential unit.
Okay.
We do have to, I think, and I'm a resident here, so I'm certainly concerned about cost. We do, so everyone's aware, we do have to take it through the state of Indiana because it's a public building. When you do that, the state of Indiana has us take it through what's called ComCheck. It's a blessing and a curse. They force us to make this a real high efficiency building. So it's good for the long term, but we have to put in high efficiency equipment and that type of thing. It's not even a choice anymore. So it's just an awareness that, so for instance, on the heating and cooling systems and that type of thing, all that will be high efficiency. Good for the long term. It's going to push us up on the front end a little bit, as you can imagine.
How many of us have worked on volunteer projects helping charities cook food and stuff? How many times have breakers kicked?
Hundreds.
That is not going to happen anymore. We're going to have new electricity, extra boxes, enough power to do that. We're going to be putting new technology into the marina inside to make it where Lois's area will have 2 registers rather than the situation now. And try to create a technology for communication with our center here to where they'll be able to do multiple transactions. And just imagine, you kick in the information, it confirms whether or not we've got the insurance, our boat tickets get printed, and it prints right in front of you. I mean, I just get chills thinking about all the things that we're going to be able to do. POA dues maybe be able to be paid there. All kinds of different things that we'll be able to do.
Good point, though. Just because it's in that existing location, we're going to have to start from ground zero. Some of the drainage, if you go to the west, that was put up, and rightfully so, early on, and it has some challenges. So we're not going to be reusing existing electrical or that type of thing. All that will be new, but we do like that existing location because we don't have to move major infrastructure.
Does code require sprinklers?
It will not. It will not. Now, there are different ways of handling it. We could take a look at, probably pulling from the lake, and we'll take a look at that when we go through the state. The assembly occupancy and being at the 50 people will be way under what we would be required to do for that. So, from a pure code perspective, they have 2 or 3 different ways that we can handle life safety, and one of them would be to not sprinkler, probably to have detection of the lake. And it's just based on the smallness of the square footage.
Yeah, that current marina has a high elevation. This will be dropped down so it's smooth out to the pier.
The elevation of the floor, we're fearful of going any lower than we were just because of some of the flooding that's come up, within a few inches.
And the side work on the entry to the north will be fairly flat, and then we've incorporated an ADA ramp from the pier so that you loop back or take steps up in the building on the, what would be the east side,
on the east side.
And that grade goes against this too, doesn't it? 'Cause it drains right down into.
Because you have to have a 112 for an ADA slope, and so we can incorporate, we have room to incorporate an ADA ramp on the east side of the building as well as a set of stairs up to the east doors, and then we'll have, the elevation goes up to the north, so we'll be able to have a smooth elevation into that north end. So from either side, you would have a smooth ramp, but it's still a step down elevation.
We've had continuous problems actually for years with our pump in the marina. I'm talking about for water. And it's intermittently running, we don't know why, but we're gonna fix that. So Lois won't have that problem with the pump. One of the most important things, the bait shop is now no longer gonna be part of the area where you eat.
For those of you that didn't know that that's what was going on.
Oh, I didn't tell you. I mean, the minnows and all that stuff are right there, but they won't be anymore. They're gonna be in an enclosed area. Can you give that, it's front view on the other side. Right. Here we go, here we go. Oh, I'm in the way, I'm sorry. Is that the, no, there it is. Just point at it so I can. So it's going to be hermetically sealed, so we won't be having those kinds of problems. And then the last thing is that.
Is there going to be access to that from the outside too, or is it just one way?
We don't have that now, but that may not be a bad idea.
Well, what about the view from where we are right now to the pump? Can Lois see the pump from?
The fuel pump?
Fuel pump.
Yeah. See a boat come up that needs to be gassed, or are we gonna have to?
Actually, the reorientation of the counter is not going to make that even more difficult, because she's going to be looking this way, and the pump's going to be here.
Yes.
So that's going to be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, so I think that's worth looking at.
Okay.
You got cameras and TVs sitting there.
Well, it just needs to be addressed, because we don't want to have,
Because the windows are there, but the
Correct.
the view's worth taking.
right now, they can see any boat for, even when it pulls in an idle, they see the boat right away, so they're out there and ready to go.
I think it's a valid point.
We're also looking at replacing the fuel pump at the side of the lake where we fuel our boats. And it's going to have a credit card, but we can't let property owners fill their own boat. Can't do that. It has nothing to do with dishonesty, and it has everything to do with somebody in a boat going like this and spraying gas in the lake, and we just don't want that to happen.
Where's the cooler section?
The cooler section. Where is that?
Where's the cooler section gonna be? Where the cold pop and all that kind of stuff.
We've got to still work through that.
Yeah, we haven't worked through those
We're
details.
in the retail side.
Yeah, it'd be in that first part. It's still in that first part when you come in, but we still need to lay out that entire area.
But the panorama that Lois is going to have is entirely different. It's going to be almost at an angle. 45 degrees would be too much, but it's going to be kind of like this. And our retail space will now go like this. And over here is where I would guess, those coolers, and maybe coffee machine or something like that. But it's going to be a lot bigger. So we're going to have more retail space instead of where you have to, go through all the shirts and do all the different things. We'll have better displays. Yeah.
The
Jim, this is still a seasonal thing? We're gonna open in March, close in September?
No.
Or is it
I
gonna be-
wouldn't say so, but it's possible. If I was voting on it, I wouldn't say that.
So it's gonna be a longer season? I mean, we're still not gonna be open in winter, right?
The orientation of the counter, of Lois being able to see the pump, you could very easily just install a push button alarm out there, very inexpensive. Somebody want gas, just push the button, somebody come out.
Come and get me. Yeah, come and get me, yeah.
With the increased size, is it still gonna be able to be operated by just 2 people?
That's unclear. And all that has to be looked at in the context of our budget for Ken's side of the house and all that, so that is unclear.
I lived on a lake before that had a restaurant, and it was really nice, but it had a lot of dock space that when you're out playing on the lake during the day, you can pull up, park your boat, go in and eat. Because if I go there and everybody's on the one existing dock loading their boat, and everybody's getting fuel on the other dock, I'm just gonna eat a sandwich out on the lake.
Bruce?
I'm all for it.
We talked about that today.
I'm excited as you are, and I wanna see, I wanna be able to go over there and get a steak in the wintertime in January or whatever. Why have a limited kitchen? Listen, if we're gonna do it, let's just do it.
Well, that's input.
I mean, is it big enough? But the dock space is a big thing.
I think the biggest issue is whether or not we're gonna be able to financially handle it.
Right.
And the bigger you get, the bigger that gets. And our number one thing is we have to remain solvent, and we've gotta have sufficient reserves to be able to put us in a position where we can crawl out of this thing. So, and we're not gonna let that happen. I like the steak in the winter too.
Yeah.
But he and I just talked today about adding slips out there where boats could come in and sit.
Like pull out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's very attractive.
Thank you.
Wanting feedback from us, it's very attractive. But the garden club doesn't see any place we could plant flowers.
We'll probably make some boxes for you.
Okay.
Window boxes.
Yeah, all kinds of.
Any other questions that you have?
But open to the public?
You know, that's another question that's really tough, whether we allow the public to be coming in here. And I'm only speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for the board. It would seem to me that if the public was gonna come in here, they'd have to pay to come in here. There'd be like every time you come in here, you pay
Member will get
$3 or $5.
Member will get a discount and they'll take the list price.
Like a country
That's
club?
another approach?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like a country club?
Yeah, could be do something like that.
Members,
Yeah.
And I think then it takes away from our private community by allowing the public to come in.
I don't disagree with that. But the economics of it might be in our favor.
Well, a steak for a member would be 25, a steak for a non-member would be 50.
Well, that doesn't get to Jeff's issue.
But to generate revenue, right?
Yeah, and I'm getting close to finishing the financial models for what we're looking at. And all that stuff's gonna come to the community, you're gonna see all of that. But none of our financial models include the presumption of any income coming off of a restaurant. So if the restaurant does good, we're better than what our projections are gonna be. We're not using any presumption that this thing's gonna have wild acceptance. Except they're gonna like the building.
I think you might address, you expect that there will be, let me put this differently. There will be a profit sharing with the restaurant, but you're not
Could be.
taking,
Yeah.
you're not planning on profit. You're making your projections on worst case scenario.
Right.
Are we committed to a restaurant even at this point?
No.
Okay, so it's an option that you're gonna explore further, yeah.
We like it.
What timeline would you like to see happen?
Well, we know what, Brand Construction just told us what the timeline is. The timeline, we would begin in the fall to tear down the marina. We would begin laying in the, support for the building. And then in springtime, before boat season, we're up and running. Yeah.
Can I get the stool at the bar that faces the lake?
Who said there's gonna be a bar?
You showed it in your thing.
He referred to that as a restaurant. No, dining.
Dining, yeah.
But just imagine us
Right.
climbing up this stairs, now for us older people, maybe not, and we're looking out at this beautiful lake with the great people. Wow, it doesn't get any better than that. And you're with friends, you're hanging out, and we're increasing more involvement in our community. And we can financially stand this. So that's really where we are. Any other questions?
That's the other initiative for your voting. Making an establishment like this brings the community together,
Yes.
brings the community out.
I agree with that, Tom. It's gonna take a little while to get it done, but yeah, I agree. Anything else? Anita again.
I think one of the things that is most important is one of the detractions of the lake is there is no good place to eat around here. You know, you have to drive to Liston to Rusted Silo, you have to go to Bridges or Carrillo's, and this is something right here, and I think it will, to your point, it will create a community. It'll give us full-time residents somewhere to go in the middle of winter.
We've been getting some advice from pretty serious restaurateurs from Indy, and I think one of the things they hit us with that was dead on is, you don't want to poor boy the quality of the food. The quality of the food is going to be everything. If the quality of the food is good, people come from pretty far.
And the other thing is it's gonna increase our property values because we have an amenity like this.
I'm curious about support for allowing people out of the community to come there. What would your reaction be would you be in favor of that? With people who would be in favor of allowing people outside our community to come into that for a fee or something? Who would be in favor of that?
I think it would just depend on the conditions. I would,
Yeah.
it would depend on their freedom of the property, or just anything. I need
Restaurant.
to know more before. I understand.
Nothing
But there's
else.
a park there, and how are you gonna work all that out? How's that gonna be, they bring their kids there.
Okay,
In our busy season, we've all got family and friends that spend a lot of time with us.
Yeah,
Those are the
that's
people
what
that we're gonna be bringing up there already. We don't
Yeah.
wanna have to share that with people that we're waiting for a seat from that don't live.
No, I'm just
In addition to the
curious.
discount,
What is-
priority seating. Show your POA card.
You better have your POA card.
I think you have to be careful about
She can be a hostess.
limiting
Hard read
it
at the door.
to only the people here, because then you start getting into
Close and smack you right down.
being more of a country club rather than a restaurant.
And then prices will probably go up because only we're buying it and things like that. So yeah, we'll have to look into what is the best to keep
And
it.
maybe if it's
keep it
wildly
going.
successful, we limit it.
Hey, I've been in the community only 5 years. This is not a country club environment. It is not.
It's a lot better in the last 5 years than 20 years ago.
Oh, is it better now?
Oh, yeah.
That's Ken's fault.
Yeah, some of us
Roger,
been
you
here
have
more than
questions?
20 and we're tired of pizza then.
I was just curious, and the financial people in here probably know better, how can we keep this running without bringing outside people to eat there?
It's a good question.
Restaurant.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Just as I told you, the models that you will see presume that the restaurant wasn't even there. We're not depending on any revenue from the restaurant.
So they may come in, let's say that we build it, but we don't purchase the chairs and the tables, fully, that a restaurateur would. That might fall into their responsibility at some point.
Is the kitchen going to be big enough to actually have a
kitchen
full service that would be necessary to do that?
That is where we're headed.
Our
I don't think it
contractors,
would be a problem during the summer months when everybody's out here, but this place is dead in the winter. Once the marina closes, you don't see people unless you come to a meeting or something.
To Roger's point, I think that the success of a restaurant manager or whoever jumps into this is going to dictate whether it's open to the public or not.
yeah.
Well, keep in mind that, we have roughly maybe 1,200 people around here. That's not gonna sustain a restaurant in the winter months. It doesn't sustain 36 Saloon in Rockville. When you go into Rockville 36 Saloon, none of the residents are there. It's all the people from outside that have come in. So if we get to a point where we put a restaurant in, if we don't involve outside people, we're only gonna have it open during the lake months. And I'm not sure you can find a restaurateur to just do it during the lake months. So those are questions that we have started to ask, and we've brought in a restaurateur to help us identify some of those issues. It was one of my first careers, but I spent a number of years in the restaurant business. Those are questions that we're trying to answer.
Location-wise, in my opinion, that is the best place to put it, because if you put it over here, people are never gonna be able to get here without neon signs at every turn.
Right.
That's how you limit it to residents. No one else can find it.
And they got the parking there too.
The private one will be.
Parking's big.
I think another thing, when you talk about outside, right now, well, maybe one or two more since our last meeting, but right now, there's 1,437 houses out here hooked to sewage. So probably, with the lots that are not available for sale and so forth, you're probably going to max out, if everybody built on every lot that was available, you're probably going to max out at 1,700, 1,650, and then you're going to depend on that many people. If you disregard the public coming in, you're going to depend on that many people to sustain the thing. So, and another thing that I think about, and this is my thought only, but you talked about the steak in the winter. With the position this is, all winter, right out in front of that, right out in the middle of the deep water, is a great big open piece of water full of all kinds of game worms. They keep it open, they're out there, the ducks, the geese, and so forth. And would that be an attraction in cold weather for somebody to go out, sit there at the glass and watch the ducks and geese while they're having a drink or a sandwich? I think there's potential for the winter too.
I didn't know where you were going. I thought you were going to get into it by going out and doing the polar dip. Well, who knows? Yeah. Well, if you excuse the enthusiasm I have for it, and Paul and the other people have been involved in the committee, but we've been involved in it for a very, very long time. And we hope that you like what you're going to see. I'd say our first meeting might be before the end of this month. And everything will be there. What it costs, how it's going to look, all that.
And you say first meeting, first open forum?
First open forum,
Town
I'm
hall.
sorry. Be open forum for everyone in the community to feedback. And we're going to do a series of those.
And also, we haven't shut down. Anybody has any ideas, suggestions?
Yeah, got other ideas. Fire away.
Thank you for the
Paul and
hard work to
Jimmy.
get this far.
Yep. Paul and Jimmy, you've done an incredible amount of work, along with the guys from Brant. It's been a lot of hours, along with the rest of the Marina Committee, so I'd like to thank you all on behalf of the board, and we look forward to getting the details kind of ironed out and getting this out to the public and figuring out where it all goes. Really, really good work, guys.
And I would appreciate this guy. His construction knowledge has been really, really valuable to us in understanding what our options are, because I didn't know what shingles and siding and all that was. So, here we go. Thanks.
Thank you very much, guys. It's exciting. It's going to be a big, big deal for this community, so we look forward to seeing where it goes. That's it for the agenda. Is there any new business? Nothing new business on the board?
One thing, it's kind of a little new, it's old but new. Elite Tree Service, they did your trees. They came out over the weekend and looked at the amount of brush we have out there. And Jason gave me a $4,000 verbal quote to chip or haul away everything we have that's out there right now. And then he could set up a once-a-year deal or twice-a-year deal, whatever we decided might work out, to get the brush gone.
How big is the pile now?
A little bigger than it was, because the chain's not been up like it's supposed to be, but
Right.
So it's a little bigger, not a whole lot.
4,000 to shred or 4,000 to
He
haul?
said because there are some stumps in the middle, he can shred, he can chip up to 12-inch diameter. But because of some of the stumps and stuff in there, that stuff would have to be hauled away. But he could chip and just leave everything right there on the ground, or he'd haul away. It would be about half the size that it is. You get about 50% reduction with what he's gonna chip it down to. And then I had a quote from Ray's for $4,500.
But it'd be
To haul it
100%
away.
reduction if they hauled all the way.
There's a 100% reduction if they haul it all away. But those chips are laying down there.
How long has it been closed? Approximately a month?
Probably
Oh, it's been easy.
6 weeks?
I was gonna say close to
6
2
weeks.
months, yeah.
So 6 weeks of material hasn't been there, so it's probably what's there plus maybe half as much of what's there.
Yeah, and there's been, I've run 3 or 4 people off,
Why do we need a gate?
when the chain's not been down.
Build a little guard shack out there.
I have helped some people unload leaves, because people show, some folks have been gone all winter. They come in, they clean the yard, they got leaves and yard waste, and I went over there and there was somebody with 8 bags of leaves.
Yeah.
We'll take leaves all day long, so we put the leaves in there. I helped them unload them. I'm guilty. But the leaves, that stuff's gonna keep coming. And as me and Paul have talked about, we don't want that stuff in the lake.
So are you in the position where you're gonna wanna have a proposal at the next meeting or something
Yeah, the brush
to
isn't going
approve
anywhere. The brush isn't going anywhere.
So,
He did not give me a written quote. He said, I have the quote that we talked about the last meeting from Ray's to haul away 4 or 5 dumpsters, to haul it all goes away.
let's get it on the next operations
Okay.
agenda.
Okay.
We can get it on for the next meeting after that.
So what's on the operation?
The shredding and hauling away of the yard debris, 30 acres. Any other new business, guys? I think it's that. Open forum. Now's the time for everybody that has anything to ask or any ideas they want to share with the board. All I ask is that you stand up, state your name, your lot number, state your business, be nice.
This is
Go out of
not,
order.
this is not the covenant.
It can include the covenants, we'll just open it up for everything. Roger was first hand up, go ahead, Roger.
Roger Wright, 466 Mill Spring. 2 things. One, if you'd raffle off a ski boat or a bass boat, 100%.
Thanks a lot, Roger, that's helpful.
You got ready to donate? The other thing is, earlier in the spring, the tree with the eagles fell down, and I started a Facebook, and it really grew quite a bit. It was given over to the Lake Committee. I talked to Kent early on, and they had a lot of things in the works, and I haven't heard a thing since, and people keep coming up asking me, because I kind of started it. Can we make that a part of the Lake Committee's monthly meeting notes on their progress on that?
Tom?
Just to, what the Lake Committee has, and they have discussed it, and basically Clear Creek Conservancy has discussed it. They've identified an individual at Clear Creek Conservancy, Doug Clodfelder. If you have your location already identified, all you need to do is contact Doug, and he has been given the authority from Clear Creek to approve the location that you recommend. So at this point, it's up to you and your little group to come up with
I thought that was what the Lake Committee was doing.
No.
My idea is not to build a nest, because eagles stay in their nest for 20 years and they weigh over 1,000 pounds. They're not gonna move into whatever we build most likely, so I suggest just a perch. Get a telephone pole with a, T-bar across the top. As I understand, Kent had arrangements with Hendricks County Electric that they put these things in for free. Now, if it was up to me, I'd put them in a couple of locations, because I just saw the eagle Saturday. There's Osprey, there's quite a few birds that, would use them. But I'll talk to him, but I'm definitely not an expert.
How about where the tree was? close to
Well,
that
that's one
location.
location. I think we should put one out on the point of the Conservancy. Because they sit there and look for the fish. And the closer you can get it to the water would be great. There's nests up on the north end. If there's a location up there, Lincoln Hill or the park up there, we could put one up there by the beach maybe. We gotta be mindful that people can't mess with them when they're out there. You know?
I think you need to really take your passion to the Clear Creek meeting, and because it's their property. They're the ones that say yes or no, and I think they're in favor of it, but the Lake Committee really,
Well, I was
in my opinion.
kinda going that way in the beginning, and it was turned over to the Lake Committee, and I just backed off, let them handle it. And yeah, I'll go to the meeting and.
According to the last meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, they were in favor of it, I believe, but it really, I would just attend their meeting and discuss it with them.
Next
Am
meeting.
Am I correct, Dwayne?
Clear Creek Conservancy, as Tom said, our board voted to cooperate in any way we could, give a location, a general location, and gave Doug the authority to tell Hendricks Power or whoever, you can put the pole here or here. So, I mean, Clear Creek has given a 100% blessing, everything but setting the post, I guess.
I guess what you need, I'll use the typical term, you need a champion to take on the project, to make that coordination happen. And if you think some member of the Lake Committee would be that champion, then it is a good recommendation to attend the next meeting. I think I gave the date of the next meeting. I could bring it up again.
The Lake Committee,
Unless the
June
minutes.
26th.
June
No.
26th, and
Clear Creek is June 20th. Lake Committee's the 26th.
7 PM right here.
I'll try to be both done.
Thank you, Roger.
Thanks for all the help that everybody's done on this project, so I know there's a lot of people that, that put in effort and. thank you.
Including you. Thank you, Roger. Anybody else? Don?
Don Williams, 138 Patriots Lane. On the yard and waste side, is that still considered closed? I mean, you don't put the gate, the chains on them, so I'm just assuming.
Well, the chain comes down when McCullough's got to get back there. That's my
Like tonight,
understanding.
they're still down, that's what I meant.
Are they working on the water? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I didn't see any trucks on there. I guess what my question is, I mean, every time I've gone over, the chains are down. If you take homeowners that number one, don't come and get a highlight, and who are not on the internet, if they drive over there, the place is wide open.
Yeah, every time
Did you
we
follow
over
it? Did you
there,
follow
just
it?
look.
Yeah, the only reason I know that
Chains
it's,
down.
the only reason I know that it's down is because McCullough's been going over there, the trucks there. Other than that, we have no other reason to be open.
Okay, but it's still closed then.
Yes. And I'll follow up why it's not being filled back up.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Chris,
Harold?
Harold Patel, 189 Mill Springs. With regard to that, maybe I would be willing to pay to drop off leaves and branches. And maybe we could set something up like that, just like we do with Clean Sweep.
Yeah.
And once a month, you can come over there and charge you $10 a carload or a truckload.
Good idea.
And have a chipper come in and do it then. Works.
It's a good idea. Thank you, Harold. Anybody else? It's a great turnout tonight. Thanks, guys. Anybody else on the board? If not, I will take
I
a
make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Comes in late, leaves early.
Snuck in here a little late.
How are you?
Forgot about this. We're still kind of going.